Hey everybody, Shore here with Boundless Society, and today I'm here to talk to you about ways your job emotionally manipulates you, and of course, how to avoid it. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, this is some clickbait nonsense. My job has never emotionally manipulated me. But let me stop you right there. Hear me out, because during my time spent in the corporate grind, I definitely felt like there was ways that I was being emotionally manipulated. So let's start with the first way that workplaces emotionally manipulate you. Team building exercises. And I know that sounds so innocuous. Like, how could a team building exercise possibly be manipulative? So, lots of jokes that I've heard at team building events that I have attended is, why can't we just get the day off? And indeed, it is an excellent question. When you're in a workplace doing something ridiculous like an adult spelling bee, which, yes, I've been a part of, offers chair races, which Forrest mentioned in one of his videos, or any other type of ridiculous, I'm trying to think, like cornhole maybe, workplace events, and you're wondering, why am I not just free to do what I want right now? If we're going to be here at work, not working. And the reason is that giving you time off and allowing you to spend time and build bonds with your friends and family, or to work on a hobby that you have, it does not benefit the company. And you may be wondering, well, how does me playing cornhole in the office benefit the company? Oh, it does. So if you look into team building exercises, Forbes, for instance, refers to team building as, quote, the most important investment you'll make. And this is talking to employers. We all know investments, you intend to get something out of it. And what do companies get from team building exercises? Companies would much rather have you at work spending time and building bonds with your coworkers and your colleagues. Not only that, but team building is meant to increase coachability, meaning that you're going to be looking more towards someone in your workplace for approval and appreciation rather than perhaps seeking those things outside of work. And while team building exercises also benefit the team in terms of increasing communication and collaboration, you can't ignore that often team building exercises are being used as a substitute for some type of meaningful way to show appreciation and to retain employees, such as pay raises, promotions, time off, the things we really want. So this next one is company culture. And this is a word we hear thrown around a lot. Usually it's an employee seeking out a company culture and then that employee receiving some kind of benefit from the culture. But when you look into company culture, most of the discussions on company culture are from a standpoint of how the business benefits. This is why we see so many businesses pushing for a return to office, despite the fact that multiple studies have shown that workers who work from home are actually 47% more productive than those who go into the office. And yet still there is this myth precipitated that company culture is something that benefits employees. And, the whole thing about company culture and the team building as a whole is that it's based in this kernel of manipulation, which is that you're more likely to do a favor for a colleague rather than a corporation. Right? You're more likely to work harder, stay late at night to finish projects, take on extra work, stay in a place where either you're not happy or you're underpaid or you're underappreciated. And you're more likely to do that because, your coworkers are awesome. You're part of the team, they're counting on you, they're depending on you, rather than, thinking of it from a company standpoint of my company needs me. Most people don't think like that. And these companies are well aware of that. A big thing that employers get from having a good company culture is, from employee retention, like I mentioned earlier, also an enhanced company reputation. So people going around and saying, man, this is a great company. They really care about us. They spend money on us. It's all because they care and they want to show us that they appreciate us. But unfortunately, team building and company culture is often used as a substitute for meaningful ways of showing your employees appreciation and retaining them, which we all know is what? Paying us money, giving us good benefits, pay time off, promotions, just to name a few. Yeah, but no, keep bringing that hacky sack to work so we can all, remember how to have fun here. Okay, so moving on to the next subject of how you are being emotionally manipulated by your employer. Manufacture job insecurity. Otherwise, otherwise said like cultivating a feeling that your job is at risk. So, Harvard Business Review wrote an article that states organizations such as Facebook and General Electric had made no secret of their strategic use of the threat of job loss to boost performance. And we saw this in 2022 just recently in real time in living color. Mark Zuckerberg threatening, I would call it threatening, to quote, turn up the heat on employees, and that some employees would realize that Meta is not the place for them, meaning people are gonna get chopped. And they know that you will be less likely to ask for raises or benefits or increases if you feel your job is at risk. And some employers, despite the myriad of evidence otherwise, believe that job risk will make an employee perform better, even though, like I said, there's plenty of evidence proving that employees experiencing job insecurity actually perform worse and are more likely to break rules and do all these type of things that employers don't like, and yet they continue to do it. And moving on to the third method of manipulation, this is a big one: false promises and fake promotions. So recently, researchers of the University of Texas and Harvard Business School found that companies have saved billions of dollars by giving employees fake manager titles. And the way they're doing this is a manager is a salaried employee, so they can work lots of overtime, but they're paid a fixed rate. And so there's tons of overtime, which is essentially wage theft, that should have been paid out to a lot of employees by taking an office clerk and making them an office manager, taking a store clerk and making them a store manager, even if they have no one to manage. And we all like promotions and to feel like we're doing good and succeeding. And by capitalizing on that desire, companies are able to, again, extract more work from employees for less pay and make them more invested in a company if they think they're actually moving up in that company and that there's actually space for them to grow. And the study showed that lots of these quote unquote manager level employees did not have any actual managerial duties. And as if that weren't bad enough, then you cross into the territory of straight up fake promotions. I know, it seems insane, but before you write me off, I know people who this has happened to personally. And fake promotions are a situation in which you've been told you've received a promotion, but it's only in name. In some cases, it's not even been legitimately passed through HR. I actually stumbled upon a Reddit story about someone receiving a fake promotion and thinking they were a department head, when in fact they were just doing their boss's work for no reason. And then, of course, there's the constant promise of a raise. Oh, and I've been trapped in jobs like this too, where it was like, there just is no position for you. We love what you're doing. We love how you're doing it. We'd like you to keep doing it. We'd love to pay you more, but there's no positions available. The minute somebody decides to leave, then you can have a promotion. Okay, the person who promised me that promotion ended up being the first one to leave. So, so much for that. But they did kind of dangle this idea of like, you can have any job you want here if you just wait long enough. And that didn't turn out too well. And out of the fake promotion / millennial promotion / fake manager, I would say that this is probably the most common way that people are tricked into staying in jobs where there is no space for them to grow or advance, through this just wait for it promise. After covering these three main ways that employers will emotionally manipulate you, let's switch gears and talk about how to avoid all that nonsense, because it will cost you money, promotions, and peace of mind if you succumb to these tactics. For starters, how to avoid the emotional manipulation of team building. Keep in mind that you are at work to make money, not friends. It may sound harsh, but it's just a fact, and it's something to keep in front of mind at all times when in the workplace. Cultivate and invest in relationships that aren't connected to your workplace, so that if you make a mistake at work or you refuse to cover someone's shift, it's not impacting you personally, because your work colleagues are not your friends. And even if they might get upset with you, when you go home, that pressure is gone. You're not at home just feeling sad because none of your friends want to talk to you because you messed up at work and got everyone in trouble. Also, keep your personal life to yourself. Be friendly with coworkers, but remind yourself to keep professional boundaries in place at all times. I've been told, oh, you can take the night shift. You don't have kids. Or I've heard people being asked to work Valentine's Day because they don't have a significant other. The fact is, the less your employers and coworkers know about you, the better. Keeping professional boundaries in a detached mindset will help keep you from being vulnerable to that whole team mentality that often leads to you making sacrifices that ultimately only benefit the owners of the company, right? Okay, and then next, how to deal with manufactured insecurity. I talked about a couple methods that employers use to create this manufactured uncertainty. One is exploiting mistakes made by employees. So if an employee makes a mistake, making them feel like, hey, their job might be on the line, you got to make this up to us in some manner. Most reasonable employers understand that people are not robots, that mistakes happen. And usually, whether your mistake is egregious enough for you to be fired is up to company policy. It's not up to how much you can kiss up to your manager to smooth the situation over. Lots of employers use the workplace rumor mill to stoke these fears, so not engaging in gossip about the company is a good way to avoid getting caught up in fake news. If you want to know how your company's doing, independent information is always best to look at when you're in these situations of what is the actual outlook for your particular job type. If your job is actually in danger, take steps to prepare yourself to move on, whether that's looking for another job, checking to see if you'd be eligible for unemployment in your state, retraining for laid off workers, or any other resources that might cushion you in case of an emergency. And just know that in cases where your job is actually on the line, it's mostly due to economic circumstances beyond your control. And the final say in who stays and who goes is rarely up to your direct supervisor. So if they imply that doing favors for them or taking on extra work or clocking off but staying working will make you less likely to be fired, they're most likely spinning your wheels. And that's absolutely not true. And the most important means of avoiding workplace manipulation is escape the corporate environment. The desire to escape the corporate games is a big driver behind Boundless Society and why we do what we do. First of all is education. We love to talk about the experiences and the hard-earned lessons that we've gained through our time in the corporate grind. And also not just education, but action. We want to start building communities that allow people to do their best and learn and improve themselves, gain skills that will help them have more options and avoid getting manipulated, for one, exploited, for two, and two, to recognize that these are systemic problems. It's not just limited to one place of employment or one workplace. At the end of the day, if you are working, you're likely avoiding constant pressure to work harder, work longer, care less about your personal life, put less time into your self-development. And at the end of the day, you often wonder, what are we missing out on? What contributions could people be making to society if they weren't trapped in their 9 to 5, feeling like a failure and thinking that because they're not getting promoted or they're not making a lot of money that the problem is them, constantly chasing that next certification or that next education level and feeling like once you reach that, then you'll be worthy of having a job that pays you or a job that you're not constantly micromanaged or stressed over. And it's kind of getting outside of that way of thinking, like I said, and creating a space for other people who are like-minded to foster their skills without the constant crushing pressure just to provide the basic necessities. So that's what we're hoping Boundless Society can become. So if you're interested to see how these plans and ideas develop, feel free to subscribe and like this video and check out our other videos. My co-conspirator, Forrest, is also definitely much more prolific than me currently in the video department. So go check out some of his videos and get his perspective. Share your perspective. What is escaping the grind for you? I would really love to know. Also, did you watching this video remember any times you might have been subject to these tactics? Please let me know. Every single one of these situations I've mentioned are based on real life, y'all, meaning I know someone personally or I myself have gone through it. But I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, you're amazing. Continue to listen. Bye-bye now.